Hello, guys. This is Mr. Allen, and today's April 6th. We're continuing triangles and quadrilaterals. Today, we are going to be going over parallel in quadrilaterals. So, quadrilateral, which we went over already, but just to go over it again, quadrilateral is a four-sided figure. So, a quadrilateral is any shape that has four sides. So we are going over parallel. What does parallel mean? Now, parallel means that we have two sides that are complete opposite. So there are two sides that are complete opposite that will never touch. So if I have two parallel lines, that means if I were to keep going over them and never stop, like these two lines right here, if we're to do an imaginary line and just keep going forever, these two lines will never touch. So parallel or opposite means they're the same. If something's opposite, that means they're completely different. So these would be parallel lines, or in IXL, it's going to say opposite lines sometimes, but it's the same thing. So parallel lines, if you keep going on imaginary lines, they'll never touch. Okay, that's what parallel lines are. I'm also going to write the definitions in the descriptions below. So if you want to write them down, quadrilateral is a four-sided figure. That's what a quadrilateral is. And parallel are lines in geometry. Parallel lines are lines that will never touch their complete opposite. So if you keep going, they'll never touch. So let's say I have these two lines right here. Would I be able to say that these two lines right here are parallel? No, I would not be able to say they're parallel because you see right here, they eventually do touch. But if I have these two lines right here, I can say these two are parallel because if I keep going for infinity on these two lines, because they're completely straight, completely opposite, they'll never touch. So that is what parallel lines are. So what I want us to do is, as you can see, we have 10 questions here. I want you to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 10. And then you're going to say number 1, parallel or not parallel. And I want you to say how many parallel lines you have as well. So I'll give an example for number 1. We can say this and this. That is a pair of parallel lines. When I say a pair, like a pair of shoes, it means there are two. So this right here would be one pair of parallel lines because there are two lines that are parallel. So that's one pair. And then we have another two that are parallel. If you keep going on forever and ever and ever, they'll never touch. So this is one pair of parallel lines, and this is another pair of parallel lines. So this shape, this quadrilateral, has two pairs of parallel lines. Again, this is one pair right here because these two lines will never touch. And then this is another pair because these two parallel lines will never touch. So number 1 has two pairs of parallel lines. Number 2, I'm going to give you guys the answer for number 1 and number 2, and you can do the rest. But number 2, now again, even though it's slanted, if you use an imaginary line, I like to use like a pencil and just do an imaginary line. And if we keep going, these two lines will never touch. So we can say these two are parallel, 1, 2. So this is one pair of parallel lines. And then these two right here, if you keep going with a pencil and an imaginary line, these two right here will never touch. So remember, a pair is 2. So this is one pair of parallel lines. And then this is another pair of parallel lines. So number 2 has two pairs of parallel lines. And number 1 has two pairs of parallel lines. So I want you to write how many pairs of parallel lines from 1 to 10. And I also want you to write if it has any parallel lines. So you're going to say no parallel lines if there are none. And if they have, you're going to say yes, parallel lines. And there's going to be two pairs of parallel lines, one pair of parallel lines, and so on and so forth. So between number 1 and number 10, you should have two answers for each, saying if it has parallel lines or not. and then you're going to say how many pairs of parallel lines. So if it has any parallel lines or if it doesn't, and then how many pairs of parallel lines does it have? All right, so right now you should be pausing the screen and answering them. So I'll give you a minute. Boom, bam, boom, bam. All right, so you did the right thing. You paused the screen, and now we're going to go over the answers. I know you did the right thing. So number one, we already said, does it have any parallel lines? Yes, it does. These two are parallel and these two are parallel. So it has yes. You'd have one answer that says yes, they're parallel lines. And the second answer would say you have two pairs of parallel lines. Number two, same thing. This line and this line, these two are parallel. So this is one pair of parallel lines. And these two are parallel, so this is two pair of parallel lines. They'll never touch. If you go an imaginary line, keep going. So number two, you'd say yes, it has parallel lines, and it has two pairs of parallel lines. So number three, I say that it does have parallel lines, and I say it has one. If I say that it has one pair of parallel lines, would I be correct? No, I would be incorrect, because it has one pair of parallel lines, but it also has another. So you should say yes. Your first answer should be yes, it has parallel lines. And the second should be it has two pairs of parallel lines for number three. What about number four? I say it does have parallel lines. Would I be correct if I say it does have parallel lines and it has two pairs of parallel lines? Would that be accurate for number four? No, that would be incorrect, because as we see here, these two, this is a pair of parallel lines. Remember, if you do the imaginary line and you just keep going, that's one pair of parallel lines because it's two. But right here, if I keep going with this imaginary line, eventually it's going to touch this one. So this is slanted, it's going at an angle, so eventually it's going to touch this one. So that is not parallel. So it only has one pair of parallel line, and that's not a pair of parallel lines. So number four should be, it has parallel lines, and it should be one pair of parallel lines. So number five now, I say it has two. Would I be correct if I said yes, it has parallel lines and it has two pairs of parallel lines? Would I be correct if I said that? No, I'll be incorrect. Because remember, a parallel line, they never intersect. They're two opposite lines that if you continue forever, they'll never intersect. So we can see, let's say these two lines right here, they touch right here. These two lines, they touch here. Any line that we pick, at some point they touch. So there are no parallel lines here at all. So number five should be no parallel lines, zero pair of parallel lines. Number six. How many parallel lines does it say? I say it has no pair. I want to know if I'm correct if I say there are no pair of parallel lines and zero parallel lines, zero pairs. Would I be correct? No, I would be incorrect. So even though it's slanted, what matters is these two lines right here, they're complete opposite, meaning that they, as long as you keep going, if you put an imaginary line, keep going, they're never going to touch. So this right here, this is one pair of parallel lines. This right here is another pair of parallel lines. So this quadrilateral has two pairs of parallel lines. So it should be yes, two pairs of parallel lines. Number seven. I say yes, they have parallel lines and it has two pairs. Would I be correct if I said it has two pairs of parallel lines for number seven? Yes, I would be correct. Same as number two. These two lines, these two lines are parallel. So this is a pair, which is a pair of parallel lines here. This is one pair, and then this is another pair. So this has two pairs of parallel lines. Number eight. So I don't know if you can see properly. The angle isn't deep enough. I wanted it to kind of be, it's a quadrilateral, but it might not look that way in the video, but it is a quadrilateral. was trying to make the angles a little bit deeper, but whatever. So does number 8 have parallel lines, and how many? If I say it has one pair, it has parallel lines and it has one pair, would I be correct? Would I be correct if I said that? No, I would be incorrect. This has no parallel lines because you see all of these lines, when you touch, there are no pair of lines that are complete opposite that I'll never touch. So 0, it does not have any parallel, no pairs of parallel lines. Number 9, what would that be? What would number 9 be? If I say it does have parallel lines and it has one pair, would I be correct if I said it had one pair, P-A-R, of parallel lines? Yes, I would be correct. The parallel line is here. So these lines are parallel, so this is one pair of parallel lines. Even if they're not the same height, notice that this one is short. If you imaginary line and just keep going forever, these two lines will never touch. So number 9 has parallel lines and it has one pair of parallel lines. And finally, number 10, same as number 6, but reverse. It has two, this is one pair of parallel lines and this is another pair of parallel lines. So it has two pairs of parallel lines for number 10. Awesome. So if you have any questions, rewind the video and we should be good. The second thing I want to go over is parallelograms. Now, a parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has two pairs of parallel lines. So not one pair, but exactly two pairs of parallel lines. So an example, number 1, remember we said that this was one pair of parallel sides and this was another pair of parallel sides. So we know that number 1 would be a parallelogram because it has two pairs of parallel sides. Let's go with number 2. What do you think? Do you think this would be a parallelogram here? Yes, number 2, because we have one, this is one pair of parallel sides. This is two pairs of parallel sides. So number 1 would be a parallelogram. Number 2 would be a parallelogram. And remember, not one pair, not 3 pairs, but it needs to specifically have 2 pairs of parallel sides to be a parallelogram. A quadrilateral with 2 pairs of parallel sides. So again, we're going to pause the video. You guys are going to write 1 to 10, and you're going to say if they are parallelograms. So you're going to do the right thing, pause the video. I'll give you a minute. Awesome. So you did the right thing, pause the video, and you went through all of them. So we did number 1, we did number 2, number 3. Number 3, would I be correct if I said that is not a parallelogram? Number 3, I don't see how like weird. So number 3, I say it's not a parallelogram. Would I be correct? I would be incorrect. I would be incorrect because this is a pair, and that's a pair. So we know that a square is also a parallelogram, which has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Number 4, would I be correct if I say number 4 is a parallelogram? Would that be accurate? No, that would be incorrect. Number 4 is not a parallelogram because it has one pair of parallel sides. We're halfway there, but this, it only has one. So for a parallelogram, it needs 2 pairs of parallel sides. So number 4, it cannot be a parallelogram. Number 5, would you say number 5 is a parallelogram? No, number 5 is not a parallelogram. It has 0 pairs of parallel sides, so that cannot be a parallelogram. Number 6, would I be accurate if I said number 6 is a parallelogram? Yes, I would be correct because 1, 2, this is one pair of parallel sides, and these 2 make another pair of parallel sides. So we have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Number 6 is a parallelogram. Number 7, would I be correct if I said number 7 is a parallelogram? Yes, I would be correct if I said number 7 is a parallelogram because one pair here, one pair there. Number 8, Would I be correct if I said number 8 is a parallelogram? If I said it is, I would be incorrect. Number 8 is not a parallelogram. It cannot be a parallelogram because it does not have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Number 9. Number 9, pair of parallel sides. We have 1. This is 1 pair of parallel sides, so we're halfway there. And again, this is not a pair of parallel sides, so it does not have 2 pairs. Number 9 is not a parallelogram. And then finally, number 10. Number 10, which is the same as number 6, but put the other way, is a parallelogram. It has 2 pairs of parallel sides. So that's all we're doing for today is quadrilaterals and parallelograms on IXL. I'm going to assign that to you for tomorrow, but pause the video, practice it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.